Hello and welcome back to Boxing Bots Unleashed. In boxing, it is expected for most fighters to reach their peak and fall off, whether it be due to their age, lack of fundamental skills, or just the environment they are in. This speaks true for no other than a former pound-for-pound star and knockout beast, Nonito, the Filipino Flash Donaire. Donaire had seemed to have a drastic downfall, struggling to show the same power at super bantamweight and featherweight, and a clear loss of technique as he would have bad performances over Rigondeaux, Frampton, and Walters. But Donaire, at 35, past his prime, was able to reinvent himself and became not only a 3-time bantamweight world champion, but also the oldest bantamweight champion in history. So this is the story of how Nonito Donaire revived his career at the age of 35. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe for new videos like this, and if I sound off it's because I'm a bit sick, so hopefully it doesn't ruin your enjoyment of the video. But anyways, let's get started with the video. In the 2000s era of boxing, Nonito Donaire was truly a dominant champion, being on the pound-for-pound list and being an explosive knockout artist, being able to make use of his superior speed and reflexes to outwork his opponents, accompanied by his great eraser, the left hook. This shot was so powerful due to the fact that Nonito Donaire used it as a counter of people's overextensions. This would result in anyone from flyweight to the featherweight division being unable to withstand the power. But this would unfortunately lead to Nonito Donaire falling in love with the power and aura he amassed during his long reign as a champion. And this would be a fatal mistake brought in his next bout with Guillermo Rigondeaux. It was clear as day that Nonito Donaire had lost a step. As we see his fight with Guillermo Rigondeaux, Rigondeaux exposed Nonito Donaire's lack of skills, as he would always look for that left hook shot to clean his opponents out. But with Rigondeaux's excellent defense and footwork, it made it nigh impossible for Donaire to land it as usually as he used to. And you'd see that during this time he looked sluggish and slow. He would just walk very flat-footed instead of bouncing on his toes as he used to. And this would ultimately lead to him to getting counted and looking very, very far from the pound-for-pound star that he was all hyped to be. In the end, he would suffer a crushing defeat, a 12-round unanimous decision, where only one round could be given to him, and that was off a lucky knockdown. Donaire was able to slightly pick himself up as he would capture the WBA super title, but he would have to defend his belt against the mandatory challenger, Nicholas Axeman Walters. In this bout, you still see glimpses of Nonito Donaire's monstrous power, able to stun and rock the Axeman, but he was unable to finish him off during the round. Although this seemed good for Nonito Donaire, it proved his fatal flaw, as he would always want to knock out his opponents in the earliest round, and always want to roll his opponent after taking a devastating shot, but this would lead him to walking into Walters' own powerful shots and being dropped in the third round. Even though he was dropped, he didn't know how to quit, as he would still rush towards Walters, coming in with his left hook and just trying to get him out of there. But this would result in him in overextending and getting caught with the flash right hand, knocking him down and ending the fight. This was the first time that Nonito Donaire has been truly knocked out like this. His usual prime self would be able to move out of the way or bounce away from his opponent's range and just catch them with something major. But now that he was on the older side, he didn't have any skills to help him think of a new strategy to catch his opponent to the left hook. So it was almost at the end of the road for him. But he gained one more shot at the featherweight title, and he would fight for the WBO interim title against Carl Frampton. In his bout with Carl Frampton, it was clear as day that Nonito Donaire couldn't compete at the featherweight division, as the natural featherweights had the power and speed to contend with him, and his usual versatile skills and power couldn't deal with them, as he would always need to use the left hook, but in the end, all those fighters knew about it and how to counter it. So, where was he going from there? In most stories, this would be the start of a sad decline for a legend, being knocked out by other unnamed boxers. But opportunity struck for Nonito Donaire when the World Boxing Super Series Season 2 was announced. The World Boxing Super Series was a tournament which pitted the best of the best in their given weight classes against each other to either unify a division and win the coveted Muhammad Ali trophy. This time, the season was taking place in the bantamweight and junior welterweight divisions. So Nonito Donaire made the step to move down to the bantamweight division to participate in the tournament, where he would be paired up with his first opponent, the WBA Super Champion Ryan Burnett. During the weigh-in, we saw Nonito Donaire look more healthier than he's ever been at compared to featherweight. As we see in the bout during his fight with Ryan Burnett, even though Ryan Burnett was a speedy and fast fighter, Nonito Donaire's counter-striking and patience made the difference in that fight. He was able to time his left hooks and use his other punches to set up his left hook to the body as well. This made him seem more cerebral and more faster than he was compared to the featherweight division, because now he was dealing with more speedier fighters than usual. And this way of fighting allowed him to catch Burnett with a devastating left hook to the body, which would cause problems to Burnett later in the fight as he would suffer a back injury, ultimately ending the fight, resulting in Nonito Donaire becoming the WBA Super Bantamweight champion of the world. Donaire's next opponent was supposed to be the WBO champion, Zolani Tete, but Tete had pulled out due to a shoulder injury, which resulted in getting replaced with Stefan Young, where Donaire looked even better than before as he would outbox the younger and craftier fighter and eventually set up a devastating left hook knockout. Donaire would eventually reach the finals of the World Boxing Super Series tournament as he would face the rising and young knockout artist Naoya the Monster Inoue. Most people expected Donaire to lose this bout to the younger fighter, but Donaire would turn back the clock one more time as he would initially see him losing to Inoue due to his speed and power advantage, but Donaire would precisely counter him with a devastating left hook, breaking the orbital socket of the monster. This would lead to an exciting back and forth for both fighters, as both respected each other's power, as Inoue would keep his right hand up to block Nonito Donaire's signature left hook, while Donaire kept his elbows tucked in deep to make sure Inoue's devastating body shots never pierced through. This fight both showed Nonito Donaire's ability to adapt and his cerebral intelligence, as his right hands and left hook counters were landing at will, and this would prove also devastating for Inoue as he would be forced to take these shots, as if he were to drop his right hand he could end up being flatlined throughout this bout. Both fighters were pushing themselves to the absolute limits, and eventually Inoue would land a devastating body shot on Donaire. Donaire would be left reeling in the corner of the ring. Most people would think this would be the end of the fight, as Donaire already put a good effort, but Donaire would get up and be able to fight back whilst hurt from the body shot. Even throughout the ending sequences, he was always making sure that he would try and lead the aggression by being very calculated about it. So in the end, he would do the 12-round hard-fought unanimous decision, but he had won the people's hearts that day, as a seemingly faded fighter had truly shown what he was capable of. For most boxers, this would be the end of their tale, meeting a younger version of themselves and going tooth and nail to give them an absolute hard time, and eventually just coming short. But Nonito Donaire is not like any other boxer, as he would gain the opportunity to fight the WBC Bantamweight champion, Nordin Ubalai, where he would enter the bout as a moderate underdog, and at the old age of 38, which was way past prime for most fighters, and especially at bantamweight. In this bout, many expected to see the faded Nonito Donaire they were accustomed to at featherweight, but now they saw a truly phenomenal version of Nonito Donaire, as he looked like he was back in his prime, being able to outspeed and counter the young Ubalai, and Ubalai was being dropped by the third round twice and ended up being finished by a devastating combination in the fourth round. And with that act alone, Nonito Donaire became the oldest bantamweight champion in boxing history, and a 3-time bantamweight world champion, accompanied by a champion in 3 different decades, from the 2000s, 2010s to the 2020s. Nonito Donaire is a prevailing example of not being too old to learn new tricks, as besides his pitfalls from the featherweight division was still lingering over his career, he managed to come out on top, move down to bantamweight, and have more success than he ever did at featherweight, as Nonito Donaire truly became a Hall of Famer, and Nonito Donaire will always be remembered for being the great Filipino Flash. Thanks for watching my video on how Nonito Donaire saved his boxing career at the age of 35. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to comment down below if you want more videos like this. It's been your boy TJ, and I'll see you guys next round. Peace.